Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the dumpster fire that is this channel. Today we're playing Stormbound again, and I'm your host, Is. So a lot of people have been commenting that they want me to go over like how I structure a deck and such. So that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know if we'll be able to play a rank this time, but I'm going to go over some of the builds that I like to play and how I built them and that kind of thing, because that's what you guys want to see. So, to start with, we're going to start with the main deck that I love to play so much because it has such a good win rate, as far as I can tell, which is Pain Swarm, at least that's what I call it. So, this is an Ironclad deck, and to start with, we're going to go over the neutral cards. So we have our gifted recruits at level 4. Beautiful. They're almost level 5, which will put them as a 5 strength, 1 movement. So, beautiful. I use gifted recruits because they're so cheap. They're just a 2 strength. And yeah, I know Lawless Herd is more strength, but it doesn't have its movement. And that's why I like the gifted recruits, is because they're so cheap and it's just a thing you can throw into your deck to just be like, hey, look, cheap card right out at the beginning. Fell Flares. Okay, so the reason I have Fell Flares in the deck, and because it's such a high level, or why I've leveled it up so much, is because it's effectively just execution. Yeah, you have to be near. I mean, you don't get to pick specifically if this card is surrounded by other units, like enemy units, but as far as the overall concept of the card is, you play it and you kill something, which execution is basically you just kill something. So you're getting 2 strength, but you're really playing it for that kind of execution effect. I will sometimes play this if it is in my starting hand. I'll play it first, because people like to waste their execution right out at the beginning. Why? I don't know. But if you have movement right at the beginning, someone will most likely kill whatever card it was. So that's why I generally play this at the beginning, or I've been doing that recently. And then, yeah, I know it doesn't do anything, but by the time you actually need a Fell Flares, then you have them. As for why it's in the deck, again, it's another cheap card, and it has a great effect. So, next card. Fort of Ebon Rock. So this is a specific strategy that I like to throw into decks. First off, it's a 3-cost tower, so pretty good. And with its high level, it's really up there. So before I go over that, there is a card that they added to Ironclad, which is trash. This card is utter trash. Reason: yes, it is 1 less cost than Fort Ebon Rock, but every turn it does 2 damage to itself. Anybody who plays a structure deck knows that when you play a tower, the opponent's immediately going to try to destroy that tower, because you're using that tower for board space. So why would you want a tower that does damage to itself? Doesn't make sense to me, but okay. I don't know if they put this in because it combos with something, or what, I don't know, because it doesn't combo with this at all. Yeah, I don't know why this is a card. Like, I saw that they were coming out with it, and I was just like, what? Why? I don't understand. At least, the Powder Tower, which I think is in neutral somewhere. Here we go. At least this, when it... excuse me. At least, like, when this dies, like, yeah, it dies in 1 turn, but at least it does 2 damage to everything. This is effectively your, the Frost Dragon card to me. a second. I will pull it up here to show you. It's effectively this card, but you don't have, like, you mix this card with that tower. That's a lot of damage to everything. You wanted to get rid of your construct spam and your dragon spam and your, well, swarm has a little bit of spam, which is kind of ironic, but and your swarm spam, that's how you do it. You play this and you play powder tower, the whatever it's called. What was the exact name? Yeah, powder tower. Okay, I got it right. Anyway, I chucked this in because it's a cheap tower. If we go click on it, if I can find it, there we go. So it's a cheap tower, and the way I base cards is if the mana is equal to or less than the added total of the health or attack and the movement, which doesn't have any movement, if it is equal or higher than the mana, then it's a good card, or what I would consider a good card. So for instance, this is a level 1 structure, starts with 4 health, and it's only a 3-cost mana. And that's a level 1. Mind you, that's only 2, I think, cards to level it up, and then it goes to 5. It's just a good card. And the reason I say that it's just a good card is because how people normally get rid of towers is with execution. What is execution at level 1? 3. What is that tower at level 1? 4. I'm sure that they did that on purpose to kind of balance it out. But, so if you're hoping your opponent has a low execution in their deck, like a low level execution in their deck, and that way your tower lives longer. So it's, for instance, my tower is at level 4 and has 7 health. My execution is at level 4 and has 6 health. I can't kill my own tower with my own execution. I did that on purpose because, well, I guess that, I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I put that in because it was a good card, and I used it at the beginning when I started making or playing, and I started leveling up, and when I got to the higher levels like iron, higher levels or low, I guess it would be lower levels in iron, or higher levels in bronze. I think it's bronze. Well, this became a very useful card. And another reason why it's useful is whenever you play, if you put this, it's, how do I describe this? So if we look at the board as a number system, and the left side of the board from the opponent to you is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it's up to 6 or something like that. And then across the board, starting from the top of the board across, would be A, B, C, D, onto 5, because there's 5 places. So if you put the fort of Rock, the fort, if you put that on row 2, B or C, there's not 5 places across the board. I don't know why I said that. There's 4 places. But anyway, if you put it on either of those spots, I hope this makes sense. I'm using chess logic. But it's basically as close as you can get to the opponent's base with the tower, and not on the sides of the board. Either of those 2 spots is the ideal place for a tower, or a high health tower. And the reason is because if you place your tower there and then put, let's say, your Westwind soldiers right next to it, and they move up 1, the opponent has to kill your tower before they can kill your units, and your units are what's going to deal damage to them. So they have to deal 7 damage to your tower, and also be able to deal 5 damage, or what say you the unit strength is, to your unit that you put there. So you are basically just immediately doing damage to them the next turn. That is why I have the fort in there. It's amazing. And then, after you have this glorious combo you've done of these 2 cards, you're like, oh cool, just a simple 2-card combo. Oh, no. That's when you throw in your Potion of Growth. You can use this potion, throw it on that unit you just moved right next to their base that's being protected by your tower. It just gained 5 health. I mean, level 3. But even at level 1, it's 3 health. And that's pretty good. That turns a 3 strength unit to a 6 strength unit. And 6 strength is what my... is what my execution does now. And most people don't have their execution at that level unless they're at a high level iron rank. I'd like to see a multiplayer mode, or like, I get that there's like the ranks, but I'd like to see a free play in this grouping, where you don't lose any rank or anything like that, and you still achieve your quests. I'd like to see a free play. Like, you could make it where you don't gain any gold for winning or losing. Like, this is to the whoever made the game. I don't know. It's not written down anywhere. I'm sorry, but that's my suggestion. Is because I get to like this spot, which is this is the spot I'm at right now. The rank, at least, that I'm having trouble with is getting from rank 1 iron over to that beautiful gold ranking. Oh, can't wait till I finally get over that wall. But a lot of people also have struggles going from bronze to iron, which I feel I had the struggles too. It's really at that point. Wait. Oh, I'm in silver. I'm sorry. I feel kind of bad now because iron is all the way down here. Oops. Okay, I'm in silver. I'll get it right. Okay. I don't remember what I was talking about. Let's go back to the deck. Okay, so Potion of Growth is one of those cards that, like, if it's not good for the situation, you can just refresh it and draw a new card. And it's not really that big of a problem because it's not a unit, and it's... I mean, yeah, it's cheap, but, like, this deck that I am showing you is built for late game. It is built to throw all your cards on the board and be done with it. But it is okay at early game because you have cards like the Chaotic Pupil that's a runner for you, and once you get to like early game, you have your Gifted Recruits, the West Wind Soldiers, and your Cabin Girls. I will get to Cabin Girls as to why that's in here, but those are the cards that you want to have in your hand at the beginning of the game, because they're cheap cards and you can play them pretty quickly, and they have a lot of health for being cheap cards, mind you. So this deck doesn't really become really, really annoying to deal with until about 7 mana. So it's like mid-game to late game is where you want this deck to be. This is where mid-game to late game is where this deck really shines, where its power is shown. And you'll see that when I get through the rest of the cards. So, Potion of Growth, pretty self-explanatory. There you go. Beautiful, beautiful little healing there. Westwind Soldiers, just nice for early game, and same as Gifted Recruits. Not really much to say there. It just has more health and 1 more mana cost. So, Cabin Girls. This is one of those cards that are like, I don't know if I want to keep it in there or not. The reason it's in there is because it gives so much health. It has so much health. I don't know why I'm yawning so much today. So it starts at a 5, and it's 4 cost. So it's already a okay card. But once you get it up to like here, like I found myself getting a lot of cabin girls in the draw, like for getting packs and stuff. And so I just kind of had the ability to upgrade it, and I was like, why not? And it's not one of those cards that I would run when you first start the game, because it's only a 5 cost for 4. It's okay. Again, I wouldn't run it near the beginning of the game, but whenever you get to a later level like where I am, 8 health on the board immediately is kind of nice. And then whenever I level up this again, which is going to be a while, as you can see, it's going to be 10 health. It's immediately a 10 health on the board, which is so useful. Now, there are cards that people can play against me that just chuck a larger unit at me, just like this one. If you have your hand filled with pirates, then you're just, look at this. On play, replace a random non-pirate card. Oh wait, I'm thinking of something else. I don't remember what I'm thinking of. It was a pirate card that you gain health. Is it this one? Yeah, there it is. On play, gain 3 strength for each pirate in your hand. So 3, 6, 9 is the total that you would get from that. 9, 10, 11, 12. When you play this, if you have 3 pirates in your hand, boom, immediately is up to 12 health. That's a lot of health on the board for one turn. Beautiful. I would play that in a pirate deck. I just don't have space to make a pirate deck. But yeah. What else do we have? We have cabin girls. That's just throw a big unit on the board for a cheap cost. Execution. Again, it's a cheap deck with a couple big cards in it. Execution is obviously one of those cards you're like, oh, hey, look, boom, dead. Very useful for if you're trying to protect a tower, or you have just put in cabin girls onto the board, and they play like a 5 strength unit, and you're like, no, I want my card to stay for a while. And then you just, boom, kill the 5 strength, done. And a lot of 5 strength cards that get played, I'm not going to point them out, but they're somewhere. A lot of 5 strength cards are really good effects. Like, people like to use after you fight with this card, it does something, or, what's the other one? Before it fights, whatever. Those kind of cards are generally 5, like, I would say some of them are 3, but most of them at the level I'm at are 4 health to 6 or 7 health. 7 is very rare. So yeah, that is really useful for just your units gone, obviously. Needle Blast. Oh, Needle Blast. You want to foam at the mouth? Oh. So the reason Needle Blast is such a good card is, whoop, level 1. Oh, other way. There we go. Level 1. 2 damage to 2 random units. This hits your base. Okay? So it's RNG, which is random number generated, or generator, whatever, which means if the opponent has 2 units on the board, so 2 random enemies, this does not mean that it will hit those 2 enemies. It means it has a chance to hit either those 2 enemies or the base. So whenever you throw this card on the board at level 1, and the opponent has 2 units on the board, doesn't matter what they are, this has a chance to hit one of those units and the base, or just those units. So you have like a 50%, I think, 50% chance of hitting their base. Or, I don't know. I'm not great at percentages, but someone else can figure that out. But, yeah. And then when you get up to higher level, like, look at this. Four random creatures, 4 damage. Ah! Like, okay. So, with the deck I'm using, whenever I get up to 7 strength, 6 or 7 mana, and they have a couple units on the board, I chuck this on the board, and I'm like, hope for the best. Normally hits 1 or 2 of their units and their base. Sometimes I'll be unlucky and I'll hit only their units, which is okay, because there's less units on the board. Perfect. Now I can actually throw some larger units on the board, like the West Wind Soldiers. I think of West Side Story every time that I think of that card. I don't know why. But the soldiers or the gifted recruits, that's high level 5 strength, 4 strength. Like, as soon as you, like, wipe their board with this, which is basically what you're gonna do, and maybe hit their base, depending on when you play it, you just throw either those cards onto the board, and they're like, what do I do now? A good counter for this deck, if depending on how you play it, is your Victors of the Melee. Now, they're good because they hit for a lot of damage before they even attack. So you have your 3 damage already, and then, yeah, great against anybody who's playing Swarm, or Spam, I suppose. So yeah. What's next in the deck? So Needle Blast is a must-have. Whenever you're early game, this is a card that you are going to want. Like, I'm aware that it's a rare, so it's kind of a hard drop to get from the different packs. Again, I'm trying to speak very quickly because I want to keep the episode kind of low in time so that I can go over a different deck in a different episode. But you're going to want this as soon as possible so you can start leveling it up, because since it's a rare, it's hard to get this card. If you see it in the shop, buy it. It's worth the gems to get it. I've had this for a while, and I've rarely ever seen it in the shop. There's very few cards that I will actually just throw all my money at. This is not one. Obviously, it's still at 70. It's not. This is just not a card that I throw my money at. Cards that I throw my money at, Gifted Recruits. I will throw all of my money into Gifted Recruits. I have sold out Gifted Recruits before in the shop. That's how much money I threw at them. For those who haven't purchased up to sold out, you're spending about 240 gold on one card. So that's 2 packs. That was probably not a good choice of mine. I probably should have spent it on the 2 packs instead. But meh, I wanted a specific card. I got a specific card. Yeah, so as soon as possible, try to get that. Lastly, for neutral, Temple Guardians. Also, get as soon as possible. It's such a good card. The reason I say that is it's similar to Call for Aid. So my Call for Aid is level 3, which means it just spawns 5 strength on all bordering sides of a unit, I should say, using game terms. I'm making all sorts of sounds. I am sorry. Okay, so it's only level 2. I get it. It's an epic. They're hard to upgrade. But at level 2, even at level 1. So, okay, First, let's break it down. Ignore the effect. By itself, if this was just a regular card, 8 mana, 6 health. Terrible, okay? It's just bad. If it didn't have the effect. Now, let's look at the effect. When played bordering your base, so it has. I only play this card bordering my base. 4 strength knights on all tiles, alright? Every tile. For those of you who are counting, that is 3 spaces with 4 strength units. So let's add in each of those health to the health of this card. That's 8, 12, plus 6. That's 18. That is over, like, if you were to double the mana of this card, like how much it costs to play it, if this was 16 cost card, that's still a better play. That's still, I don't know what else to tell you guys. Like, even at that level, it's unmatchable. That's why I run it so often, is because it's just an amazing card. Now, I have accidentally misplayed this. I have accidentally misplayed this card. What does that mean? It didn't get played next to my base, which it's still 7 strength, so it's okay. But let's remember, 4 mana cabin girls with 8 strength over here. That's half of what this is. So it's extremely bad if you don't use the effect. Extremely. Which is why I can understand why people wouldn't play it. Is because if there is anything, if the opponent has something in your base area, it's immediately less worth playing this card. Because it would make the ratio between mana and strength less, because it would make it, let's say they have 1 unit there, that's 4 less in the ratio, so that makes it 8, 14 at level 1 would be your difference, would be 14 to 8 mana. It's still really good, but it's, think about your problem here is it doesn't move if they have a unit next to your base. Like, I don't remember. Quick, name big card. Veterans of War. I just passed them. There we go. If they have a 10 strength unit next to your base, and you play those, you're taking 10 damage. Because they don't move. That's why you play them whenever your opponent is at a oof. Wherever they aren't next to your base. If you're playing a runner deck, or playing against a runner deck, I should say, not the best card to have, but runner decks don't generally have a lot of high health cards. I say that there are a lot of high health card runner decks, but they generally cost a lot. That's why this is in here, so you can knock them down before they get to you. Yeah, there's the rundown of that deck. We're not all the way done. We have some Ironclad to go through. So I don't have many Ironclad to go through. There's only 3 in the deck, but you only need 3 in the deck. Now, when I first ran this deck, I did not have sound drivers. Because I just didn't have the card at the time. It is a rare drop card, so you guys probably won't have it. Cheaper version of this, I ran infinite loopers, or finite loopers, oops. I ran finite loopers in this deck because it is effectively, excuse me, let me find it, Swarm. It's effectively this. Yes, it's not a runner, I know. but on death spawn something. Okay. Anything that is on death spawn something is the best card to have early game. So let's go back to Ironclad. This boy, at level 1, yeah, he spawns at level 1, but he's a common. Most everyone has this card at level 2 or level 3. Yeah, I know, I have mine at level 3, but let's look at level 2 because it's common. It's a common drop. You're gonna it's gonna get to level 2 really fast. 3 strength, spawn 1 on death. Yes, there's a chance that the opponent will be able to kill that spawn because it's only 3 strength. But let's think about this. If they don't kill that because it gets placed in a weird spot, like if it spawns that 1 strength behind it after it dies, it'll probably stay on the board, which means you get board space. Board space is the most powerful thing at early game. So that is pretty good. I mean, it's okay at level 1 because the combined ability is 4. So it is 1 more than the mana cost, but you don't see that ability until a little later. So it's really a 3/3, which is okay. Honestly, it's just okay. What does this mean? This means that you will have cards that I don't know what I'm saying. Run next card, or what was I talking about? Finite loopers. So that's what I ran before I ran sound drivers. Sound drivers, the reason that's a good card is you play cabin girls onto the board, and then you put sound drivers behind them. The opponent's gonna have a shock. They're gonna have a 8 strength unit right next to their base, which is painful considering later in the game you got this combo going. You throw Potion of Growth onto that 8 strength unit you just shoved next to their base. It suddenly goes from 8 to like my brain is not working now. 8, 13. I'm getting there. Hold on. Stay with me. I'm better at English than I am math. So it goes from 8 to 13. A 13 strength unit is hard to deal with. Like in general. Unless you threw in Confinement into your deck, which is just throw it onto a card, it becomes a 3 strength, or what say you, depending on the level. Mine, it becomes a 3 strength. I think it becomes a 5 strength at level 1. The other good use for sound drivers, you push a unit to, it doesn't matter what unit, you push a unit to their base, throw down your tower, they've got a problem on their hands. They either take damage or they don't. Most likely going to take damage because my tower is 7 strength. Your tower will probably be less, but again, I mean, they still have to kill the tower before they can kill that unit. So that's the combo with that. Now, your other combo that you can use this for, which is beautiful. This with your Chaotic Pupil, your Sound Drivers and Chaotic Pupil, beautiful combo. You throw your Chaotic Pupil first, and make sure it doesn't have anything in front of it, and that it doesn't run into anything. Because as we all know, Chaotic Pupil, as soon as it hits something, grenade, effectively, is what Chaotic Pupil is. Low level, it's only 2 damage, but it's a common, which I don't know why. It honestly should be like a rare, but that's just my opinion. But if you get Chaotic Pupil just next to their base, it doesn't even have to be like, it doesn't have to hit their base, it just has to be next to it. They're gonna take damage, at least at this level. if it has 3 to 5 damage that it does when it dies, that damage spam that it does, if it's next to its base, or if it's next to your opponent's base, and they try to kill it, because they're like, ooh, I don't want that 1 damage, they have to deal with that spread. That spread of damage. That is just gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. I have played this next to someone's base. Next to. It didn't hit them. It was next to it. They had 1 or 2 units, I think. They had 1 unit next to it, and then they had 1 that they killed it with. I still did 3 damage to their base. That's the equivalent of 1 needle blast if it hits them. I mean, at this level, mind you. So really powerful card. If you are able to play this and there are no enemies near it and you run it into their base, that's immediately 6 damage to their base. 6, which most people are at 12. At like medium, like that's where a wall is, where people are like 12 health to 13 health. There's a wall there somewhere. That's hard to get over, and that takes half of their base's health. I mean, you don't get much better than that. 1 card, half someone's base's health. Ooh, beautiful. Now, lastly, and one of the most important cards in this deck that you have to have. It's a must-have. 100%. And a card that I throw into every single Ironclad deck that I make. Overchargers. Oh, such a beautiful card. High level. You have this on... This doesn't even have to be, like, next to the base or anything. This card... If there are no units in the row, or is it column? I think it's column. If there are no units in the column, and you use this card, it immediately does damage to their base. So at first level, 1 damage, okay? You get it up to level 3, that's 2 damage to their base. Beautiful. It's a common as well, so it's pretty easy to level up. I don't see them often in the shop, and I haven't really tried to level them up all that much, because as soon as they get to level 3, oh, they pay for themselves at level 1. Let's reopen it. 2, 3, okay. Bad if it didn't have effect. The effect makes it 4, makes it even, but it hits their base. That's 1 damage to their base, and you can use this against units as well. So if they put a 2-cost unit on the board, like Fell Flares is a 2 strength, then immediately kills it. And you get a 3 strength unit. So it's okay in that sense, but for this deck, you want to hit them. You want to try to hit them every single time with the effect. So in combination, if you get next to their base with this, then you have at least 8 mana, and you're lucky enough to have both Chaotic People and Overchargers in your hand, with the exact deck that I have here, same level of cards. That's 6 damage. That's added to it is 8 damage. That's 1 turn, 8 damage. 2 cards. I think that itself pays for this deck. I don't think you need anything other than that. But yeah, there's my overview of the deck that I have been playing, and has one of the best win rates that I have out of the decks that I have. So here's the other decks that I have. Let me know which one you want me to go over. That was Pain Swarm. Yeah, no, I'll go over any of these any of these decks that you guys want to see. I recently just built this one today. This card is what makes it pay for itself, but other than that, it's okay. I would probably change some cards in it, but yeah. So I will just flash these across the screen so you guys can see what's in them. Whoa, calm down, Stormbound. Okay. Well, if it. Whoo! Oh, okay, there we go. So there's that. As you can see, I like to use my 2 favorite cards there. And then this one. I don't play this one often, but there's that. Running Pain. Respawn Murder, which I would like to go over this deck, because this card specifically, but I'll let you guys decide what I go over next. This is one that low level, this specific deck is very frustrating. This Healing Tundra deck is where you get the game that never ends if you play that. And then this one that Dragons, and the one we just went over, Painswarm. You can kind of see why it's called Painswarm now. You have your Swarm card and you have your damage. But thank you everybody for tuning in and watching. I hope you enjoyed the overview of this deck. And if you want to build it yourself, try to get the cards from the shop. I wouldn't, for low level people, I wouldn't wait for the daily cards. But I would use your money on your books. I wouldn't suggest the Terror's Loot. It's just too expensive for only getting 1 dragon card. But this is a pretty good deal, and if you're playing the mobile version, it is only 100 gold. And you can watch an ad to make it your splendid book here to get more cards. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Bye!